The great hall of the Interstellar Council was filled with light. Stars shone through the massive windows, their glow reflecting on polished silver floors. Representatives of 20 different species sat in a circle, their voices low but tense. This was not a routine meeting. Today they were here to discuss a single subject: Earth. Chancellor Verax, a tall figure with glassy insect-like eyes, stood at the center of the room. His voice carried across the chamber. "Honored delegates," he began, "we face a problem that cannot be ignored. The humans have grown too quickly. Their colonies spread across 3 sectors in less than a century. Their technology improves faster than any species we have seen. If we do not act now, their power will upset the balance of the galaxy." Murmurs spread through the hall. The representative from the aquatic world of Selvar, her blue skin glowing faintly, raised a hand. "They are still young," she said softly. "Perhaps they only seek a place in the stars as we all once did." But a deep voice cut her off. It was Admiral Korv, the military advisor to the council. His thick, scaled arms folded as he spoke. "You are mistaken," he said firmly. "They do not simply seek a place, they take. Every planet they settle, they change. Every trade route they join, they dominate. Their fleets grow larger with each passing cycle. If they continue at this pace, they will match the council's strength within 50 years. Silence fell. The thought of a single young species rivaling the council, an alliance that had ruled the stars for 1,000 years, made many uneasy. Representative Tala of the Hessian people tapped her claws against the table. "We gave them access to interstellar travel," she reminded them. "We welcomed them when they first stepped into the stars. Perhaps this is partly our fault?" "Perhaps," Verax admitted. "But the question is not what we did. The question is what we do now." The council debated for hours. Some spoke for patience, others for action. Finally, the decision was made. Earth would be placed under strict trade restrictions. Human ships would be limited in their range, and no new colonies would be allowed without council approval. When the vote was complete, Verax gave the final words. "Let it be recorded," he said, "that this decision is for the peace of the galaxy. We do not strike at Earth with weapons, but we must slow their rise before it is too late." On Earth, the news broke like a storm. In the capital city of New Geneva, leaders from every nation gathered in the World Assembly. The broadcast from the council played on giant screens. When the message ended, the room was silent. President Aisha Karim, one of Earth's most respected leaders, stood slowly. "They have judged us," she said quietly, "and found us dangerous." General Marcus Hale, head of Earth's Defense Command, slammed a fist against the table. "Of course we're dangerous," he growled. "We had to be. We survived wars, famines, disasters, and now, just when we have finally united and reached the stars, they try to chain us down?" There were nods around the room. Even those who had once opposed military expansion looked uneasy. Dr. Li Wen, chief of the Global Science Directorate, spoke next. "This decision will slow our progress by decades," she warned. "Our colonies rely on trade with other worlds. Our research depends on alien data. If the council cuts us off, we will struggle to feed and supply our people." "Then we find another way," General Hale said. "If they will not trade with us, we will build for ourselves. If they block our colonies, we will send more. Earth has never bowed to outside rule, and we will not start now." President Karim looked around the room. "We must be careful," she said. "If we act with anger, we risk war." General Hale's answer was calm but firm. "War may come whether we want it or not," he said. "The council fears us. That fear will not fade. If we wait too long, we will only face them on their terms." The assembly debated deep into the night. At last they reached a decision. Earth would not accept the restrictions. They would build their own fleets, research their own technology, and continue their expansion, with or without council permission. When the meeting ended, the world leaders stood together on the balcony of the assembly hall. Far above them, the night sky glimmered with 1,000 stars. "They think they can hold us back," President Karim whispered. General Hale stood beside her, his jaw set. "Then they will learn," he said, "that humanity does not stop, not for anyone." And somewhere beyond the stars, in the halls of the council, the first spark of fear was lit. The news of the council's decision spread across Earth like fire. From the oceans to the deserts, from the crowded cities to the distant colonies, People argued, protested, and debated. At first there was anger and deep, bitter anger. But as the days passed, something unusual began to happen. Humanity, long divided by borders and history, started to come together. In New Geneva, the World Assembly remained in session day and night. Delegates who once fought over trade deals now sat at the same table, working toward the same goal. President Aisha Karim spoke at the opening of every session. "We are not children," she said one evening as cameras broadcast her words to every screen on Earth. "We do not need guardians to tell us how far we may go. We have earned our place among the stars, and we will not let anyone take it from us." Her words became a rallying cry. In the deserts of Mars, engineers worked tirelessly to expand the shipyards. Massive hulls rose from the red sands, their frames glowing under the artificial lights. Each day, new workers arrived from Earth and the moons of Jupiter, ready to help. General Marcus Hale toured the yards with a hard expression on his face. He watched as technicians fitted new engines to a half-built warship. "How soon can this one fly?" he asked. "In 6 months," the chief engineer replied. "Make it 4, Hale said. "The council will not wait forever before tightening the blockade. We need our fleets ready before they can strike." The engineer nodded. "We will work day and night," he promised. And so they did. Far from the shipyards and underground laboratories on Earth, scientists worked just as hard. Dr. Li Wen led teams of researchers studying alien technology, not just using it, but understanding it, improving it. One night, she stood before a group of exhausted scientists. Their eyes were red, their desks covered in tools and glowing schematics. "We are close," she said. "The new reactor design is more powerful than anything we have built before. If we finish it, our ships will be faster than the Council's. But it will take months," one of the researchers said quietly. "Then we find a way to do it in weeks," Lee answered. "The Council believes they can slow us down. We will show them they were wrong." Across Earth and its colonies, the spirit of unity grew stronger. Old rivalries faded. Soldiers from different nations trained together. Scientists shared discoveries without hiding them behind patents. Workers volunteered extra shifts without complaint. For the first time in history, all of humanity moved toward a single purpose. The Council, watching from afar, did not understand what was happening. Reports reached their chambers, but they dismissed them as exaggerations. "The humans will tire soon," Chancellor Varric said during a private meeting. "Their passion burns bright, but it will fade. They cannot resist forever." Admiral Korv, however, was less certain. "Do not underestimate them," he warned. "Every defeat they have faced in their history only made them stronger. If they truly unite, they could become a threat faster than we predict." But the Council had already passed its judgment. They waited for Earth to submit. Back on Earth, preparations reached a peak. The first of the new warships rolled out of the Mars yards, their metal hulls shining in the sun. Crowds gathered on every screen to watch the launch. President Karim stood on the platform as the ship rose into the sky. "This is not a weapon of conquest," she said to the watching billions. "It is a shield. A shield for our future, for our children, for the right to walk among the stars without permission." The people cheered. Across the colonies, more ships were completed, more crews trained. In a quiet strategy room beneath the assembly hall, General Hale looked over a star map. "They have forced our hand," he said to President Karim and Dr. Lee. "We have the ships. We have the crews. Now we must be ready to use them." President Karim frowned. "You think war is certain?" "I think the Council will not stop," Hale replied. "Sooner or later they will try to push harder. When they do, we must strike first or we will be crushed." Dr. Lee said nothing for a moment, then spoke softly. "Then we must make sure we are ready. Not just with ships, but with plans. Plans they will not expect." The three of them stood in silence, looking at the stars on the map. Humanity was no longer waiting. By the end of the year, Earth's fleets were no longer small and scattered. They were organized, disciplined, and powerful. Somewhere in the cold dark between the stars, the Council still believed they held control. But Earth was preparing for the day they would no longer ask permission. The stars were quiet on the night it began. In the command deck of the ISS Resolute, Captain Elena Ward stood with her hands clasped behind her back. Her ship was one of the first completed in the new human fleet, a sleek destroyer with weapons and engines built entirely from Earth's own designs. Around her, the crew worked in silence, every motion careful and precise. Final approach to target, her navigator reported. We are 30 minutes from the Jerath relay station. Elena nodded. Jerath was not a world, only a massive station floating between trade routes. It carried communications for 3 sectors, including the ones that supplied the Council's fleets. If Jerath went offline, the Council would be blind for days. Activate stealth field, Elena ordered. Signal the fleet. Across the blackness of space, other human ships shifted into position. Frigates, corvettes, and a pair of heavy cruisers glided silently forward, engines glowing faintly in the dark. This was humanity's first strike, a bold move that would decide if they would survive or be crushed. In the strategy room back on Earth, General Marcus Hale watched the live feed with a grim face. Around him sat President Aisha Karim, Dr. Li Wen, and the leaders of the assembly. No one spoke. Finally, President Karim broke the silence. This is the moment, she said quietly. After tonight, there is no going back. General Hale nodded. The Council gave us no choice. They must see we will not bow. On the Resolute, the Jerath station grew larger on the view screen. It looked peaceful, its lights glowing against the darkness. Captain, enemy scanners are active, the sensor officer warned. They see us? Not yet, but they will in minutes. Elena took a deep breath. Then we strike now. All ships. Attack pattern Delta. The calm silence of space shattered. Human cruisers opened fire first, their rail cannons sending streams of glowing projectiles across the void. The Jerath station's shields flared as the first hits struck. Moments later, alarms lit up the screens as the station broadcast a distress call to the Council. They are calling for reinforcements, the comms officer reported. Jamming signal, Elena said. Target their transmitter array. A frigate swooped in close, its weapons firing in rapid bursts. The transmitter exploded in a flash of white light. Jerath's defenders scrambled to respond. Small defense craft launched from the station. But the human ships were ready. The new destroyers moved like hunters, outmaneuvering the slower enemy craft. Enemy fighters destroyed, the tactical officer said. Good. Focus fire on the shield generators, Elena ordered. One by one. The station's defenses began to fail. Its shields collapsed under the constant barrage, leaving the massive structure exposed. Station power levels dropping. Hold fire, Elena commanded. We disable, we do not destroy. We need the station intact. Hours later, the battle was over. Jerath Relay floated in silence, its lights dim but still intact. Human Marines boarded the station, taking control without resistance. The crew had surrendered once their weapons went offline. Captain Elena opened a secure channel to Earth. Objective complete, she reported. Jerath Station is under human control. No casualties on our side. The Council cannot communicate through this sector. General Hale allowed himself a rare smile. Excellent. Begin Phase 2. Across the galaxy, the Council reeled from the attack. This is an act of war, Chancellor Varex shouted in the Council chamber. They have seized one of our most important relay stations. Admiral Korv leaned forward, his expression grim. I warned you. They would not submit. Now they control our communications in 3 sectors. We must respond with force. Force? Tala of the Hessian protested. That will only unite them further. They are already united, Korv growled. The time for diplomacy has passed. The chamber erupted into arguments. Some demanded peace talks, others demanded a fleet to crush Earth. But even as they spoke, more reports arrived. Human ships were hitting supply depots, intercepting patrols, cutting off Council forces in multiple regions. The heavens were beginning to darken. Back on Mars, the shipyards roared with activity. New vessels were launched every week, crewed by trained volunteers eager to join the fight. In her office, President Karim recorded a message for all colonies. Today we struck the first blow, she said, not out of hate but out of necessity. We will not be prisoners of fear. We will not allow our children to be born in chains. The stars belong to all who can reach them, and we have reached them. Her words traveled faster than any council ship. Across the colonies, humans stood taller, their resolve hardening. In the strategy room, Dr. Li looked at the star map, now marked with captured stations and disrupted routes. They will come for us soon, she said softly. Yes, General Hale replied, and when they do, we will be ready. This was just the beginning. The first strike had been clean, precise, and devastating. For the first time, the galaxy understood that Earth was not a weak world to be guided. Humanity had made its move, and they were just getting started. Weeks turned into months, and the stars themselves seemed to change. Where once Council patrols had moved freely, now human warships prowled. Trade routes that had been bright with traffic went silent. Stations that had flown the Council's banner now displayed the flag of a rising Earth. From the bridge of the ISS Vanguard, Admiral Marcus Hale looked out at the stars, his expression grim but proud. Around him, holographic displays showed entire sectors where communications had been cut off and supply lines broken. "Report," he said. "Sector 12 is secure," his operations officer replied. "Council fleets have withdrawn. The colonies there are under our protection." Hale nodded slowly. "And the next sector?" "Two stations remain loyal to the Council," the officer said. "But their shields are weak and they are asking for negotiations." "Good," Hale said. "We will give them a choice. Peace under Earth's protection or isolation." On Earth, the people watched every new broadcast with pride and fear mixed together. President Aisha Karim spoke often to calm them. Standing beneath the great dome of the assembly hall, she addressed billions. "Some call this war," she said. "But we do not fight to conquer. We fight to be free. Each star we secure is a promise that no one will ever again decide our fate without us." Her speeches kept morale high, but even she knew the risks were growing. In the council chambers, the mood had shifted from anger to dread. "They are everywhere," Chancellor Varric said, his voice sharp with frustration. "Every day they take another station, another route. Soon they will control half the outer sectors." Admiral Korv slammed his scaled fist on the table. "Then we must gather what forces remain and strike directly at Earth." Patala of the Heshan shook her head. "You still do not understand them," she said. "Every time we strike, they adapt. Every battle makes them stronger. Even if we win, we will lose more than we can afford." Silence filled the hall. For the first time, some council members began to wonder if Earth could even be defeated. Meanwhile, in the dark of space, humanity pressed forward. Captain Elena Ward and the crew of the Resolute led an attack on a council fuel depot, orbiting a red dwarf star. Shields at 30%, the tactical Waikeng officer reported as enemy fire struck their hull. "Push through," Elena ordered. "If we take the depot, their fleet cannot hold this sector." The Resolute dove close, its cannons firing in tight bursts. One by one, the depot's defenses went dark. When the last shield collapsed, human marines boarded and captured it. "Depot secured," came the final report. "Transmit message to all nearby stations," Elena said. "Tell them this system is now under Earth protection." Each victory sent a wave of shock through the galaxy. Neutral species that had once sided with the Council began to refuse their calls for aid. Some even offered quiet support to Earth, seeing them as the new power worth following. In the laboratories on Earth, Dr. Li Wen oversaw the next generation of reactors being installed on the fleet's newest cruisers. "With these engines," she told the engineers, "our ships will outrun anything the Council can send." The heave ends are no longer theirs alone. But with every victory, the cost grew heavier. Reports arrived daily of small skirmishes, of human patrols ambushed, of colonies threatened. Admiral Hale reviewed every casualty list himself. "We are winning," he told President Karim during one long night in the strategy room. "But we are bleeding for every star we take. The Council will strike back hard soon. We must be ready." President Karim nodded, her face tired but determined. "Then we prepare our people," she said. "If the heavens must grow darker before they grow bright again, so be it." The turning point came when Earth's fleet captured the Triarch Nexus, the largest communications hub in 3 sectors. The battle lasted for 2 days. Human cruisers fought through waves of Council defenders, taking heavy fire but refusing to retreat. In the end, the Nexus fell. When the final signal came in, showing the Earth flag flying above the station, crowds across the colonies erupted in celebration. Admiral Hale addressed the fleet. "You have done what no one thought possible," he said. "The heavens that once belonged to the Council now belong to us all. We have taken back the stars." But in the Council chambers, the mood was grim. Varric stood before the gathered delegates. "It is too late to stop them with force," he admitted. "We must call for peace before we lose everything." Some still argued for war, but their voices were growing fewer, far above their heads. The once bright lanes of commerce were empty and quiet, lit only by the engines of human ships. The heavens were no longer a place of shared peace. They were now a shadowed battlefield, darkened by the wrath of Earth. And yet somewhere in that darkness, a final choice was waiting, a choice that would decide the future of the galaxy. The Council's chambers were quiet, a silence heavy with defeat. Chancellor Varric sat at the center, his tall frame slumped, his glassy eyes reflecting the flickering lights of the hall. Around him, the remaining delegates whispered anxiously. Reports from the outer sectors had stopped coming. Every major communication hub controlled by the Council had been seized by Earth. Supply lines were cut, fleets scattered, and allies had abandoned them. Admiral Korv's usual confidence had vanished. He leaned heavily against the table, his scales dull with fatigue. "They have taken everything," he said quietly. "Every station, every sector. We cannot fight them. Not now, not ever." Varric rubbed his temples. "All our warnings, all our plans. They were too late. We believed we could control them. We underestimated their unity, their resolve." Tala of the Hessian, seated nearby, finally spoke. Her glowing blue skin dimmed as she said, "They did not come to destroy. They came to claim what is theirs by right. The Council forced their hand, and now we see the cost of our fear." On Earth, the mood was one of solemn victory. President Aisha Karim stood on the observation deck of the Global Command Center, overlooking the launch bays where fleets now filled every dock. She had spent months watching the stars darken with human presence, knowing each captured station meant both a strategic victory and a dangerous responsibility. General Marcus Hale joined her, his eyes scanning the stars beyond. "They will call for terms soon," he said. "They will have no choice," President Karim replied. "But we do not strike in anger. We strike for freedom, for security, for the right to exist without permission. That is our message." The first Council envoys arrived at the human-controlled sector of Triarch Nexus. Their sleek ships approached slowly, shields up, weapons ready. But the human fleet was waiting, lined in formation that left no doubt. Earth would not be intimidated. A secure channel opened between the human command and the Council's lead envoy. "This is Earth," came the calm voice of President Karim. "You asked for terms. We are ready to listen." Chancellor Varric's face appeared on the screen, stern but weary. "Earth, you have surpassed our expectations. Your fleet, your strategy, your unity. It is more than any council could have imagined. We concede. We have no power left to resist." President Karim nodded. "Then you must understand one thing. We do not seek your destruction. We do not seek revenge. We sought only what is ours. The right to walk among the stars without your permission. That is all." Varric bowed slightly. "We understand, and we apologize for underestimating you. The Council will recognize Earth's sovereignty. We will grant you a permanent seat. We hope this can be the beginning of a new era." Across the galaxy, humans celebrated, but quietly. The victories had been costly, and everyone knew the Council's defeat did not erase the lives lost, nor the tension that would linger for decades. Captain Elena Ward stood on the bridge of the ISS Resolute. Her fleet spread across 3 sectors. For months they had fought without pause. Now she allowed herself a rare moment of relief. "We did it," her tactical officer whispered. "Yes," Elena said, "but the work is not over. We must hold what we've earned. The galaxy is ours to protect, not to dominate. Remember that." In the final assembly on Earth, President Karim addressed representatives from every colony. She spoke with the calm, steady voice that had guided humanity through its rise. "The Council feared what we might become," she said. "They were right to fear us, but we are not monsters. We are humans. We adapt, we fight, we survive. And now we will show the galaxy that strength can be guided by justice, that power can be tempered with wisdom. Today humanity stands not only as a conqueror, but as a guardian." Applause filled the hall. From the distant colonies to Earth itself, people stood taller than ever before. Back in the Council chambers, the last delegates prepared to leave. The bright banners of old had been lowered, and silence filled the once proud hall. Varric's final words echoed in the empty chamber. "We underestimated them. We ignored their unity, their determination. We were too late." Somewhere beyond the stars, the human ambassador's voice replied over secure channels, calm but firm. You feared what we might become. You were right. But you could have had our friendship. Instead, you chose our wrath. And with that, the Council understood fully. The galaxy had changed forever. Above the darkened heavens, human ships glided silently, their engines glowing softly. For the first time in history, humans controlled more of the stars than any other species. But instead of celebrating domination, they looked to the future. The stars were no longer just lights in the sky. They were the promise of exploration, of knowledge, and of freedom, a freedom earned by courage, unity, and resolve. Humanity had risen. The Council had learned, too late, that underestimating Earth was the gravest mistake they would ever make, and the galaxy would never forget it.